What's up, Hale? Good evening, everybody. Hope you are all well. I was going to wait till tomorrow. I've been so busy today, I was going to wait till tomorrow to film the Mona's Dag post. But I found time, so I'll use my little Algefrin glass and share a drop with you tonight. Fortunately, the neighbours are in the garden. I could already hear them. As soon as I come to record, you can bet your bottom dollar that neighbours end up in the garden. Anyway. Hail London, hail the ancestors, hail to everybody who watches the video. Drink hail. Oh, that's a nice drop. Okay. Ragnarok versus the Overwar. Over the next two Mona's Dag posts, these are two subjects that relate to each other that I'm going to cover. Today we're going to go with Ragnarok. Next week I'm going to introduce you to, if you've not come across it yet, the concept, the Anglo-Saxon concept of the Overwar, hence the Anglo-Saxon version of Ragnarok, for want of a word. So what is Ragnarok? Ragnarok is the end of days. It's the final battle, the battle against the gods and the giants, the battle against good and evil, the battle against dark and light. Every which way you look, there's always a concept of the end of days, the end of the world, or the end of a race of gods. And the basic concept of Ragnarok is the end of the Aesir, the Norse version of the gods. So Odin, Thor, Frigg, Tyr, Heimdall. Okay, it's this big final battle. The gods are doomed, and the end is death. Is what I'm saying. This, and it's kind of a mindset. Okay, the gods believe that they are doomed to die at Ragnarok. Odin believes that his overriding task that justifies any good or bad that he ever does is justified because everything he does is to delay Ragnarok. He cannot prevent it. It will happen. Okay, and he understands that. Right? So everything he does is to delay the onset, because it's the end of the Aesir, of whom Odin's the chief. The onset of Ragnarok, there's various things that happen for Ragnarok, but the main thing, and what instigates it, is the death of the sun god Balder, Odin's son. Okay, now Balder is called Balder the Beautiful or Balder the White, and he prances around in Asgard. I can't remember the name then. Asgard, and he's suddenly having all these foreboding dreams, these really dark dreams where he's going to die, and this becomes a real worry. And so Frigg sends out messengers to everything, animate and inanimate, to swear an oath that they will never harm Balder, to try and allay his fears. Okay, so that's the first time Frigg comes into Frigga, or Frigg I should call her, because I'm talking about the Norse versions here. So she tries to stop Balder from being hurt. He's now immune to anything sharp and heavy and things that can hurt him. Okay. So along comes Loki into this tale. Now, it's said that Loki can't accept it. There's nothing at all, so he disguises himself as kind of an old witch and goes along, has a little bit of chit-chat with Frigga, and out of the blue, she kind of admits that she never took an oath from mistletoe because it's so young and soft it could not harm anybody. And then The basic concept is that Loki goes away, fashions it into a dart, passes it on to his blind brother Hoder, Balder's blind brother Holder, and he throws a dart or fires this missile, and it hits Balder, and Balder falls down dead in the halls of the gods. Okay, so this is where I first start having problems with the theory of how Ragnarok comes about, because out of 3 versions of the myths I've read, there's only Snorri Sturluson's version who even mentions Loki in this. It's his version that everybody holds to, and it's flawed, it's heavily flawed. So the other 2 versions don't even have Loki there. Okay, anyway, so the first thing is, like, even if Frigg admits about the mistletoe, have you seen mistletoe? It can't be made into a dart. You know, everyone says, oh, he could have cast the runes, he could have done this, he could have made it in. And, well, it doesn't say he does that. He just said it fashions a dart from it and all. So, you know, in one of the other versions, mistletoe is actually used to poison Balder, which would actually make more sense, right? Because mistletoe's poisonous. So, even if we accept, for now, that what happens is Loki becomes an old woman, gets his information, has Balder killed, right? And that is the biggest foreboding, the onset of Ragnarok. So it doesn't really matter what other signs there are of Ragnarok. Ragnarok is now in play. It can now no longer be stopped. How does a race of war gods just believe that they'll ultimately succumb so easily at Ragnarok? These are the most powerful beings in the cosmos during these times, but they're going to succumb. But we'll come back to that. What of Odin's intentions? Why does Odin not just imprison or kill Loki? Then he can't have Hoder kill Balder, and Ragnarok can't happen. So this doesn't make sense. And then as well, why would Odin know? Because Odin knows everything. His ravens tell him things. He can sit on Hiltskálf and look out across all 9 realms, right? And he already knows about Ragnarok because he's trying to prevent it. So he already knows that Ragnarok's got to happen, hence he's got to let Balder die. So Odin deliberately allows Balder to die. Now that doesn't make sense, does it? Or does it? Okay, at the end of the tale, it makes perfect sense, because Balder is already dead. He's in Hela's halls, and he will not fight at Ragnarok. So, can't be slain at Ragnarok. Because, yes, Balder's dead, but death isn't absolute in Norse mythology, because Hermod takes his 9-night trip on Sleipnir down to beg for Balder's return, and Hel says, oh, no, I'll make you a deal. You go away if absolutely every animate and inanimate thing in the cosmos cries for Balder and weeps, I'll let you have him back. Right? And everything does, again, except this little woman who says, why should I weep for him? Let Hel keep her own. And again, everyone says, oh, and that's Loki dressed up. Or Loki's transformed himself back into this cackling old woman that refuses to cry for Balder, so he stays. But the point was, he could have come back. Okay? So death isn't absolute. Right, he can't die at Ragnarok, so he's not going to be at that battle. So that gives you a motive for why Odin would not prevent the death of Balder. Makes no sense to him. He's safer in the realm of hell. Okay. So let's look at Ragnarok, the final battle itself. Which again, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter how many demons and like army of the deads, and it doesn't matter how big the combatants army is, because we've got Odin's army of undead as well. Right, so first of all, Freya disobeys the rule and climbs ᚗᚩᚾᚪᚋ᚞ᚪᚷ, Odin's high chair, and looks out over the 9 realms. He's not allowed to do this, but he does it. Doesn't get punished for it, but he does it. Okay, while he's doing that, he sees a giantess, Gerd, and he falls in love. Oh, yeah, of course he does. Right, and he's got to have her. So finally, to be with her, he gives up his flaming sword. His flaming sword that would have slain everything at Ragnarok. This sword could almost fight by itself. Right, it would have defeated even Surtur, because it's fire versus fire. But he just gives it away to the enemy. So that sword is now able to be used against the Aesir, because they don't have control of it. So that doesn't make sense. Thor's hammer, when Thor throws his hammer, it'll always come back to his hand. Okay, so Jötungr, the final battle between Thor and Jötungr. Thor goes in, smacks him with hammer. Oh, Jötungr is starting to die, spits a bit of venom on Thor. Thor wanders back 9 steps and falls down dead. Jötungr dies. Thor dies. Why? Why does Thor have to get that close? Could have stood a mile away, thrown the hammer, smacked Jötungr on the head, caught his hammer. Boom. The world serpent's gone. Thor lives. Again, turning the tide of Ragnarok. Doesn't make sense. Odin has a spear, Gungnir. It will never ever miss. But he goes out to fight the Fenris wolf and he's eaten. Or he could stand a mile away, throw a Gungnir and kill the wolf. But he doesn't. He doesn't die in the blaze of glory. He gets chomped up by the wolf and dies first. What use is a dead battle chief? So when you think about the final battle, it's just like it's a realm of possibilities. It's like they could have won it from every step. They could have won the battle. But they don't. Okay, there's no real winner to Ragnarok in the end. There's death and destruction. Even Loki dies. Blah blah blah, and then afterwards, everything's new and fresh and green again, and new mountains rise and seas appear, and back on idle plains, the gods re-meet. Balder comes back. He's now going to lead the race. Magni and Modi come out from Yggdrasil, which is Thor's children, and they're going to keep the race of gods going. So they don't all die at Ragnarok anyway. Anyway, that's the basic concept of Ragnarok, the basic story of Ragnarok, and it's any of these stories can have holes pulled in them. I get that, but let's be honest, this one's pretty easy to pull apart, innit? It just doesn't make sense why they would even lose the battle. Okay, well, next week I'm going to go into the Overwar, which is very, very different than Ragnarok. Very different than Ragnarok. But still, people are going to think it's a little far-fetched. Of course they are, because it's a myth, it's a story. But there's meanings and purpose behind these. So, Stay safe out there. Have a great week in Woden's Keep.